Hey guys, welcome to our weekly Blue Book AMA stream. Hope you guys are all having a great day and have been having a great week so far.
Hey guys, welcome. Happy to be here again and let's get into some bullish news today.
Yeah, we got a big AMA for you guys. We're going to be talking about marketing updates, and talking about some of the web updates that have gone live. I'd love to get some feedback from you guys on that. And then we're going to get into some of the things that we've kind of quietly released and some of the things that are going to be released immediately. So we've got some alpha for you guys. So it looks like people are rolling in. We got about 50 viewers on the AMA so far. Let's first get into some of the web updates that we've gotten done. So let me share my screen. So we had a lot of feedback. You know, the idea with the Blue protocol and the Blue site right from inception was to make it as simple and easy to use as possible. And I think that, you know, me being, you know, full-time in the space for as many years as I've been, I think sometimes I don't have the best optics on what's the easiest to use. So, you know, while it was designed from the very beginning to be extremely easy and straightforward, we got a lot of feedback from our users. You know, as we mentioned in the Telegram, we have the crypto banter team currently experimenting with Blue BNB. They have invested their own funds. They put $1,000 of their own money in to try it out. And one of the first things that they said back to us the next day was that, you know, the UI UX experience has to be improved for us to really reach the masses. And that kind of surprised me a little bit, just because I felt that, you know, it was kind of designed for ease of use right from the get-go. But, you know, I've taken the feedback from a lot of our users in Telegram and from the crypto banter team. And with that, we made some big improvements. So some of the things that you guys asked for is making it easier to find your balance. Let me zoom in a little bit. So now we have your portfolio. It's up at the top. It's there no matter which page you go to. You'll always see your balance. And if you're in simple mode, you'll see it like this. So that's actually something else that we introduced with simple and pro mode. So you can just toggle between those two right here. This kind of just leaves like the bare bones, I guess you could say, for anybody that's, you know, newer to the protocol or that just, you know, wants to get involved and, you know, just wants to stake and earn. But then we have the pro mode for some of the more advanced options and features. And we're going to be talking a lot about those features today. So yeah, in addition to that, you know, other people mentioned that they want it to be easier to see the Blue price. So now we have the Blue price that's always on the screen right here. And you can click on that to head over to the buy page. So overall, just trying to make it, you know, easier to know what's going on with your account, to know, you know, what your balances are, easy to see the price, and easy, obvious links to buy Blue. And I'm always looking to improve the user experience. So if anybody has any feedback on these updates and anything further that we can update to make it a lot easier, you know, I think that simplicity is going to be, you know, what allows us to get to the next 10,000 users into Blue. Actually, something else that I think, you know, that was updated that I think probably made a big difference for people is when you do any transactions now. I'll just demonstrate real quick. So I'm going to stake one Blue. You're going to notice that as soon as I submit this right now, we get a little toast here that shows that the transaction's processing. And if you look at my balances, the second that confirmed, my balance is updated. So there is no need to refresh ever. You know, I know that was probably a little bit of a pain point for some users, is they stake, especially for a new user, right? They stake and they don't see the balance update right away. That can lead to confusion and them trying to stake again and then getting reverted transactions. And there's just you know, having to refresh wasn't the best user experience. And now you don't need to ever refresh our site. So yeah, definitely a huge improvement there. So I hope you guys are enjoying that. Let's get into some of the features that have been released. Let's actually go over the comments real quick. Let's go. Hey, Fiat Hater, what's up, buddy? Gaz, what's going on, man? Great to see you here. Bring it on. Let's go Blue. That's a good feature. Still considering a way to buy on site for smaller Blue buys. Yeah, so this is something that I'm going to talk a bit more about this a little bit later when I'm talking about bonding. So a way to buy on actually we'll talk about this a little bit later on in the stream. Well, a lot of that just comes down to like the size of the LPs and just making sure that our users always get efficient swaps and things of that nature. But yeah, we'll get into that. Nice updates, thanks. Yeah, you bet, man. So let's talk about GBlue. So GBlue is something that's caused a little bit of confusion in the community, and I just want to kind of set the record straight with that and just exactly how GBlue works and what its purpose is and why you should have GBlue or not have GBlue. Essentially, GBlue is a wrapped form of staked blue, right? So I'll demonstrate this, right? So you can see the wallet that I've opened right here has 42.35 staked blue. So what GBlue is, it's just simply a different way of tracking rewards, right? So firstly, let me just say that like as of right now, there's no reason to necessarily have GBlue over SBlue. They both do the same thing. It's going to come down to preference. When you have SBlue, it's very simple, right? Like your SBlue balance goes up every 4 hours. That's pretty straightforward. When you have GBlue, your balance doesn't increase every 4 hours, but what actually increases is that exchange rate of how much SBlue or blue, because one SBlue is always equal to one blue. Basically, the amount of SBlue you can exchange your GBlue for increases every 4 hours. So basically, at the end of the day, it's the exact same thing. Whether you're holding GBlue or SBlue, you're still gaining the exact same amount every 4 hours. It's just tracked a little bit differently. And the reason for this is that basically GBlue can now be used in other DeFi protocols. It can be used, we can make a bridge to bridge GBlue cross-chain. And that way, like we can add utility for Blue on other chains, but the token that you actually would be bridging is going to continue to receive rebase rewards, even though it's on a different chain. So with something like SBlue, where it's rebasing, and it's super cool to see like the balance actually increase every 4 hours, but that makes it not as compatible with like other DeFi protocols, or to go cross chain, you wouldn't be able to receive rebase rewards cross chain unless you have something like GBlue, right? So long story short, you basically don't need GBlue at this moment. There's no extra use cases for GBlue, but it's just it does tie in with bonding a little bit, and I'm going to get into that when I start talking about bonding, and that's why GBlue was introduced to the site. But yeah, I mean, it's really just comes down to preference. If you want to hold GBlue or if you want to hold SBlue, you gain the exact same either way. Feels like I might have missed something in that explanation, but if anybody has any questions about GBlue, I'll just quickly demonstrate this here. So you can see I have 42.35 SBlue. So if I just do one blue or one SBlue, sorry, you're going to see that I'm going to get 0.891 GBlue. And the reason for that is because of the staking index, right? And that's the same staking index that you can see on the homepage. So let's go ahead and submit that. So my GBlue, oh, that was quick. So my GBlue balance is 0.89 right now, right? So my one staked blue converted to 0.89 GBlue, but you can see if I go to convert that back, that exact amount is going to get me one SBlue. So there's no loss to convert back and forth. And again, like the whole protocol has no fees on anything and no taxes and no penalties. So yeah, you can convert back and forth as often as you want. You can play around with it. The one thing I will mention though is if you have GBlue, you cannot switch back into simple mode. You can see that little message at the bottom. Because simple mode doesn't talk about GBlue, we don't want users to kind of like lose track of their tokens. So like if you converted to GBlue and then you put on simple mode, it would look like you were like missing funds. So basically, while you have GBlue in your wallet, you're automatically going to be put in pro mode and you can't switch it to simple mode. So just something to keep in mind there. Let's go blue. What's up, Arborist? Anybody have any questions about GBlue? Call it C-Blue for C for cross-chain. A little bit late to rename the token, but good suggestion. Blue and book to the moon. Yes, sir. All right. Well, it seems like must have covered GBlue quite well. There's no questions about that. Before I get into the big alpha, maybe we should talk about marketing now. So I'm going to get Nick to help me quite a bit with this this section or this part of the AMA.
Actually, got some feedback. I got some feedback last time. I need to talk a bit more, so I'll try my best this time. So regarding marketing, obviously we got some ongoing campaigns like the DeckScreener ads. We will continue doing the DeckScreener ads. So that we already did Crypto Raven giveaway. We're busy working on some large KOLs. We are active with some KOLs, and we're gonna get lots more of them on, like really big names, like we said in the chat. They are not finalized yet, but we are working hard to make it happen. And obviously, we got the crypto banter team currently investing and trying out the protocol. And and I think if everything goes well, we'll definitely partner up with them. But let's see. If I missed anything, please fill me in, Aaron.
Yeah. So just to add to what Nick said, like we're in active discussions with a lot of KOLs, a couple of really big names, but also some other names that might not be quite as well known, but that have huge followings. So you guys can expect to see a lot of rated tweets coming up in the future from different KOLs that we're going to be getting on board with promoting Blue. I think that at this point we really just need to get more eyes on it. We've got a web site that I think explains things quite well, and that's really easy to interact with. So I think at this point we just got to get more eyes on it, and that's pretty much it. So we're going to be firing on all cylinders for marketing. Obviously with the inflation of the protocol, time is of the essence. We want to get as many people in as quick as we can. So we're well aware of that, and excited for all these people to start experiencing Blue and to join the community and become a Blue whale. So
let me get one thing super clear. We're going to do everything we need to do to get this fired up.
Yep, 100%. Let's check out some of the comments. Can you demonstrate how to use GBlue cross-chain? So we didn't set up cross-chain yet. I've set up bridging quite a few times for different protocols, so it's something I'm really familiar with, but I can't really demonstrate it until we actually set up a bridge. But it's gonna. I don't know if anybody that's in MSS that used the MSS bridge between base and BNB chain, it would be something similar to that. It was a very good explanation about GBlue. Awesome. Great improvements on the UI. Thank you very much. Well explained. Good to know. Solid marketing plans. Excited for the future of Blue. So are we. We're beyond pumped. Send it, Nick. Yes.
Definitely gonna send it hard, Eric. Let's fucking go.
All right. So the last major topic for today is bonding. We got bonding coming to you guys. We got quite a bit to talk about with bonding. So I hope you guys are comfortable. We're going to talk about what is bonding, how bonding works, what's the purpose of bonding, how bonding markets are going to be set up and tuned over time. And then I'll give you guys a demo of bonding. And then right after the AMA, we will be releasing our first bond markets. So hope you guys are pumped up for that. Just so you guys know, right now I am in my local development environment. I'm not on the live site. So that's why what I'm about to show you guys aren't going to be able to see yet, but it will be going live shortly after the AMA. So firstly, you guys are going to need to be in pro mode for this to work. You got to access the bonding page. You're going to have to be in pro. So let's go over to the bonding page. And now what you guys will see is a breakdown of the available bonding markets. And once again, this is not live on the production site. This is only in my development environment. So you guys can't follow along quite yet, but I'm going to demonstrate this for you guys, and you guys will be able to do it real soon. So we're likely going to have two bonding markets. I've already set up the first one, but I'm going to set up a second one probably right after the AMA. So for now, what you've got a bonding market. Well, let's talk about what is bonding first. So bonding is what we are going to use to build our treasury up. We're going to have a strong focus on protocol-owned liquidity, but every bonding market that we create, the assets that are received go straight into the blue treasury and are used as backing for blue. So basically what we're doing is the protocol is trading discounted blue for your assets to build the blue treasury. So, right now in the treasury, this might be a little bit slow because it's in my local environment. Our biggest LP in the treasury at the moment is the blue book LP, and the blue BNB LP is not far behind. So this will be an option for bonding coming up in the near future. Probably not today though, but yeah, that's basically what bonding is, as you can see here, there's a 10% discount. So essentially right now, blue is just shy of $26. So essentially with a 10% discount, that's approximately like $23. So $23 worth of the blue book LP is going to get you one blue through bonding. So let's go ahead and look at the bond market here. So you can see a bunch more details here. So as you can see, the blue book LP price, what this is showing you is like how much it costs for 1.0 units of LP, right? So just to go back to this treasury, let me actually keep this open. So you can see like the treasury right now has 3.79 units of LP, which are worth $107,000. And this also shows the price per one LP here. So that's just showing you like what the quote token, or like the token that you're using to get bonds. It's just showing you the value of that. So essentially you can see the blue price here in real time. You can see the price of the quote asset, which again, in this case is the blue book LP. And then this is giving you a nice breakdown of like, this is the actual technical bonding rate. This is how much blue book LP units you need to receive a single blue. But we do the math for you to make it easy. So you can see that basically you can buy blue for $23.12 as long as you're basically using the bond market to acquire that blue. Now, one thing you guys will notice is that there is a vesting period on bonds. Now, let me explain what that means. So a 4-day vesting period means that you can't access the blue that you receive for 4 days, right? You have to wait 4 days from when you actually do the bonding to when you can receive it. Now, the reason, in the past, when I did bonding markets, I typically had a much shorter vesting period. And that's because blue does something really special, right, with bonding. And I'm going to demonstrate this for you guys in a minute. But with bonding blue, basically the blue is held as G blue while it's vesting. So what that means is that you're earning rebases the entire time that you're waiting to claim your blue. So for anybody that was planning to get discounted blue to stake it anyways, it's basically no different to be vesting versus if you would have received it immediately and just put it to stake, right? Because you're earning the exact same rebase rewards on it either way. So bonding, because you're getting the tokens at a discount, we want to offer that to users who want to be, long-term participants of the ecosystem, preferably. So because of that, that's why there is the vesting period. But again, because of the fact that you earn rebases while you're waiting for that to vest, it's really no different than if you received it right away and staked it. So let's go through and purchase a bond so that you guys can see how that works. And then I'll show you guys the transaction to see how the G Blue works and all that. First, for anybody that's going to be doing this, we don't have zapping yet. And that's because I want to build up the LPs a little bit more before we have zapping, just because it can cause inefficiency if people try to zap large amounts and like the LPs aren't big enough to handle that efficiently. So zapping will come there in the very near future. But for now, we have a nice button here that is add liquidity on PancakeSwap. So, just make sure that you have some book and some blue and you're able to do this. Let me actually just buy a tiny bit of book here just so I can demonstrate for you guys. So let's buy some book. All right. So now that I got some book, so I already actually have some of this LP in my wallet. So, but I'll make some more. So yeah, anyways, so this is the page that you get to when you click on add liquidity on PancakeSwap, just so you guys are following along. So again, as long as you have some assets, you can use the max button on whichever one you have less of. So like I can't hit max on blue because I don't have nearly enough book here to do that. So let's go ahead and add that. So let's just take a quick look at that transaction. So basically, just to show you guys the rates and everything. So I don't want to get too technical here, but basically, like, this was almost the equivalent of like 6 blue, right? Because like there was 3.03 blue on one side, which means that the other side is the same value. So the 10,700 book is basically like approximately 3 blue worth. So and that's 0.0054 LPs I got for that. So let's head over here, and you'll see now, if I, like, for example, if I try to add the exact same amount that I just got, you'll see that the discount lines up perfectly, right? So I'm going to get like an extra 0.6 blue roughly, right? Because like you saw that like the LP that I just added to receive this amount of LP tokens, receipt tokens, it required like a little bit over 3 blue, which basically means like the value was roughly 6 blue. So I'm getting, you know, a 10% discount just like it shows here. So for this demo, let's just do a little bit smaller of an amount. So let's do, yeah, that's fine. So I'm basically, wait, that discount doesn't look right. I'll have to fix that calculation. That discount does not look like the right discount. The percentage is accurate, but I'm not sure where it's getting that number from. I'll fix that before I push this live. But you can see that with 0.001 LP tokens, I'm getting 1.23 blue. So let's go ahead and submit that, and I'll show you guys the breakdown in the transaction. So I'm just waiting for that. Oh, actually, I've got to add the transaction toast notifications here as well. Just notice that. Okay, so let's go inspect this transaction so you guys can see what happened here. So what happened is basically my 0.001 LP units, this went to the Treasury. This is the blue Treasury contract. That's not the important part though. The important part to show you guys is, so 1.22 blue is what this is rounded, is what I received. But this actually is getting stored for me as G blue, which, because of the exchange rate between blue and G blue, it's actually 1.093 G blue that's being held for me so that I can earn those rebase rewards while I'm waiting for this to vest. And let's go take a look at that. So if I go over to bonding and I look at my bond markets, or my bonds, sorry, I did this earlier as well, so now I've got 2 of them. But you can see that I have 1.09 G blue, and which is 1.23 blue, right? So then once that vesting period's over, I'll be able to claim this, and that'll head into my wallet as 1.09 G blue. But again, the beauty of our bonding is that because the asset is being vested for you as G blue, you get to earn rebase rewards the entire time, which allows us to do longer vesting periods, which makes, you know, it just makes bonding less likely to be abused, right? Like if you have a very short vesting period, then people can just keep cycling it, and it's not the greatest for the price of blue. But with the vesting period, it's much more bullish for the protocol, and it's, you know, it makes for a much more stable blue price than if people are getting paid out in discounted blue right away, right? But at the same time, right, that it does involve some risk for the users, because like you can't access that blue for whatever the vesting period is. So I know bonding is a little bit of a complex topic, so I hope I explained most of those things pretty well. If you guys have any questions, definitely throw them up. Back the blue. Let's go. Yes, sir. Last time you launched bonding on a project, it went quite well. Bet it even better on blue. Yeah. You know, the last project I launched bonding on was Bomb Money, and you know, I think that's the most buy power or buy pressure that we saw in Bomb in like a long time was when we released that. So it's yeah, very bullish stuff. It basically prevents a flash discount attack on the liquidity. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, essentially, if everybody could buy it at a discount and not have to wait for vesting, it makes it be no reason to buy on the open market, I guess. Right. So, but yeah, there's can you use G blue as the bonding currency? Well, so the purpose of bonding, again, is to build the protocols like Treasury, largely with protocol-owned liquidity. So we don't really want to take in blue to give out blue. That kind of defeats the purpose. So we want to really build up our LPs for protocol-owned liquidity. So our big bond markets are likely going to continue to be LPs that contain blue. So we're looking at like blue book, and we're looking at blue BNB. Probably sometime in the near future, we'll probably add like blue USDC or blue USD1 or something like that. Oh, actually, this is a great question that I meant to get into. How does the discount price change over time? As you said, it's automatic. So this is an interesting one. So basically, the way that the way that the bonding market works, it's all based on supply and demand, essentially. So this bonding market that I set up, does it say when it expires? Oh yeah. So this bonding market I set up for a week, and basically the way it works is it looks at the capacity. So like these are all parameters that I have to set when I create the bonding market, and I'm going to do it a little bit conservatively at first. If there's a lot more interest in bonds than what I anticipated, then I will add additional bonding markets. But essentially the way that this works is there's a time decay on the price, right? So let's use slightly different numbers just to make it easier to explain. So I set a week as the conclusion. So this is going to run for 7 days, and then I'll have to create another bonding market after, because this particular bonding market will run for 7 days. And so basically the two important things to look at for price movement are the capacity, which I started at 5,000, and the conclusion. So let's just pretend I set the capacity to 7,000, just because it's going to be a little bit easier to do the numbers. If the capacity was 7,000, basically the bonding market has like 1,000 blue as capacity per day if it's like a 7-day bonding market. So essentially the price would stay flat if we're doing like exactly 1,000 blue per set per day, right? So like if we're selling the bonds at the exact capacity divided by like the duration, right? So like, for example, if it was 7,000 blue over a week, we're looking to like bond 1,000 blue per day. So if we're bonding less than 1,000 blue per day, the price is going to drop. If we're bonding more than 1,000 blue per day, the price is going to increase, right? So with the 10% discount, right, I think that, we'll probably do more than 1,000 on the first day, but then, basically the price is going to be constantly adjusting based on like how much capacity is left, how much time has passed since the bond market opened, or I guess more importantly, like how much time until the bond market concludes. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of tuning involved, basically, but yeah. Well, I can't really tune an existing bond market. What I can do is, as often as I want, I can close a bond market and then open a new bond market with new parameters. And if that happens, which will probably happen at some point, it doesn't really matter. Like anyone that's already got vesting G blue from the bond market, that all stays the same, right? So like when I close a bond market, that just means that nobody else can buy bonds from that bond market, but all the bonds that were already bought are obviously they're not touched, right? So that still works exactly as it was. But yeah, I mean, those are essentially the parameters that control the price of the bonding market. So there is going to be some guesswork at the beginning in terms of like how much demand there's going to be. But as I said, I can close the bond market and open a new one if the bonding demand comes in a lot higher than I anticipated, or if it comes in lower than I anticipated. So like, for example, if this discount starts creeping up because we don't have as much interest in the bonds as what I expected, then I'll close this bond market and make a new bond market with better parameters, right? So I'll be monitoring this super closely and making adjustments as necessary. So you have to buy blue in order to bond. Yeah, so our main bond markets are all going to be LPs that have blue. So yeah, you're definitely going to need blue in order to bond. Although we will have single asset bonds as well, which won't require blue, but those are going to be secondary to our LPs. Would be better to give people to buy bonds with USDT or BNB, and you can do the LP in the back. Yes and no. I mean, I think it's, especially when zapping is introduced, it's going to be super easy for guys to get into LPs. We've already made it pretty easy with being able to just click add liquidity. I mean, so all you really need to do is just have assets, like have both the assets, and then you're able to just click this and create your LP. But I mean, the kind of the way that the bonds work here is that these assets go straight into the treasury. So it's better if we don't have to do stuff in the back end. It's better if they just actually get into the treasury exactly how we want them. So like right now we're building up V2 style LPs as protocol owned liquidity. So I think it's fine to accept LPs in the bonds. So this will put buy pressure on book. Great job, Aaron. Yeah, so it's going to put buy pressure on blue. It's going to put buy pressure on book. Is the bond dynamic once it's been posted, or is it locked until concluded? I think I already answered this question, but if you still have a question after the explanation I just gave, then please post it again. Is again a super bullish feature? Yes, sir. Can you remove the V2 LP in bond, and is it earning fees? Not really sure I understand that question. So LPs that the Treasury receives, they're not going to be removed. They're going to be held there as protocol-owned liquidity. And V2 LPs earn fees. Maybe if you could reword that question, I'll get back to it. When the bond market, say the first one is 7 days is over, will there be an upcoming announcement of the next one before the previous one ends? Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna make sure there's always active bond markets. There could definitely be overlap. So, for example, on the first bond market, because again, I'm not sure what the demand is going to be like on these. What I've done is I just created a capacity of 5,000 blue over 7 days. So what is that, like, I don't know, maybe 800 blue per day. So yeah, I mean, I'm really just looking at this to gauge the interest in this. And if demand is high on this bond market to the point where like the discount goes away, like what I can do is I can make a second bond market with the same quote tokens, right? So I can make another bond market that has different parameters that's still blue book LP, but maybe the vesting period would be different, or the capacity would be different, or, you know, and then basically we have two different bond markets that both track their prices dynamically. If it makes sense, I might close the first one to replace it with the second one, or I could have multiple bond markets running at the same time. So, I mean, again, this is something where I'm just gonna have to keep a close eye on it, and you know, just basically open new bond markets as it makes sense, based on what the market is showing us. But yeah, I mean, I don't plan for there to really be any times ever where there's no bond markets available. But again, it's definitely possible that there's heavy demand. So for example, if the blue price right now jumped to $30, the bond is going to be at an even bigger discount, which you could definitely should expect there to be a lot of inflows into bonding, at which point the price of the bond would go up until the point where there's a very small discount. And then, you know, it might not make sense to bond if there's not a discount there, which, I mean, that is a likely scenario to happen, right? So like if a lot of pressure comes into buying the bond, the price of the bond is going to go up until there's no more discount, right? So at that point, it doesn't make sense to buy the bond. So as soon as the discount is non-existent, so if it says there's a premium instead of a discount, or if you see the discount's really small, you might be better off just buying straight blue and staking it instead of going for bonding. But again, because we do want to be building that protocol-owned liquidity, we will be monitoring this and creating additional bond markets as we see fit. Oh yeah, something else all right, actually I did already show you guys this, but yeah, I mean, seeing your own bonds is super simple. You can just head over to your bonds and you'll see all the bonds that you have vesting. And yeah, once the vesting duration is over, you'll be able to claim your bond right here. And then those G Blue will head right into your wallet. All right, well, I think that's pretty much the majority of what I got for you guys today. Let's see if there's any questions or comments that you guys have. And again, just to touch on what I said earlier, definitely if you guys have any suggestions for how we can improve the site. So like if you guys experience any pain points while you're trying to access the site, whether that be you don't know how to find something or something's not very straightforward, definitely let us know, because I think that is going to be one of the keys to us really reaching you know, maximum amount of users, is just to make this extremely simple. And I mean, including bonding, right? If you guys have any suggestions for how bonds can be displayed or presented that would make it easier for users, then definitely I'd love to hear about it. Well, pretty surprising. I actually didn't have to put the cats away for today's AMA. They were all sleeping. I was like, okay, let's see if they stay sleeping. But yeah, they actually cooperated for once. Okay, so what happens after the 4 days? Do you just pull the LP from PCS, or how do you enter the bond again? you have to add fresh blue book. So, so basically, when you bond, you are selling the protocol, the quote token, right? So when you bond with Blue Book LP, you don't own that Blue Book LP anymore. You basically gave that to the treasury of the protocol, right? So what you're receiving is you're receiving blue that's vested, and it's vested as G Blue. So essentially, you can bond as much as you want, but you need to be depositing fresh quote assets, right? So in this case, it's Blue Book LP. So I mean, you can bond all you want, but you need to just keep feeding new Blue Book LP in, right? It's like you don't get that back after the vesting period. After the vesting period, that's when you can transfer the G Blue from the bonding contract into your own wallet, right? And there's no rush to do that. You're going to continue to, you're going to continue to earn rebase rewards on the G Blue. So it's not like you have to claim it the second it's available. It basically, unless you're planning on selling it, it makes no difference if you let it stay there an extra couple of days or not. Because again, G Blue is earning full rebase rewards just like S Blue. Can you talk to the purpose and benefits of building a Blue versus incorporating these features into the existing book? Well, book does not have inflation, right? So like this is a whole different beast, right? This is we've all seen last cycle what stuff like time and ohm did, and this is with the market timing now. We felt that Blue was a great, fun opportunity that we could introduce to the community, and this has such deep tie-ins with book that it's the right amount of being its own project where somebody can jump into Blue who has no interest in book, but them jumping into Blue is helping book, right? But it's not like so based on book that like someone who doesn't have anything to do with book, they could still be interested in Blue. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds there. So hope that answered your question. Where are the Blue coming from that the Treasury gives to bond purchasers? Are they freshly minted or being pulled from Treasury or an LP? So the bonding contract has the ability to mint Blue. So that's where they're coming from. So they are freshly minted from the bonding contract. Like the Treasury is something that just gets constantly built up, right? Like we don't pull reserves out of the Treasury. We just keep building up the Treasury. In the future, we can, there's a couple different things we can do in the future, like reverse bonds, and we can do different things to support the price with the Treasury, but that's not the focus at the moment. So you're trading book Blue. After 4 days, you claim your discounted Blue, then choose if you do it again. Yes and no. I mean, like you don't have to wait for your bond to finish vesting to do it again, right? Like it should just be looked at as like, how do you get Blue? Well, you can buy it from the open market. Okay, what's another way to get Blue? Well, I can trade whatever bond markets are available. I can trade the quote token to get discounted Blue. Now, because it's held as G Blue, you're earning rebase rewards on it the whole time, right? So it doesn't really matter that it's not in your wallet right away. The vesting period is just simply, when can you take that G Blue that's already yours essentially, but when can you transfer it from the bonding contract into your own wallet, right? So if you want to open 5 bonds per day, you can do that, right? You don't have to wait for 4 days to do it again, right? How does Blue help book? Many ways. So one of the second biggest LP on Blue is with book, and that's only going to be growing. So basically, whenever Blue has positive price movement, it's pulling book up with it. Probably the biggest way that Blue helps book is with the bonding markets, right? So for someone to get into the Blue Book LP bond, they need to buy book, they need to buy Blue. Well, when they buy Blue, part of those inflows are going into the Blue Book LP itself, right? So, essentially just entering this bond helps book tremendously, right? And there's other, I'd suggest reading the docs page, and again, this is something that I've put a lot of effort into, is the docs, so that you guys could learn about this stuff. So I'd suggest checking out the book page in the docs. I'll drop that into actually I can't drop that link because that's my local environment, but yeah, if you just go to docs and drop down to Blue, you'll see exactly how they're integrated. What about Blue MSSLP? So, we do things when they make sense to do them, not just to force tokens in places where they don't necessarily belong. Book is not inflationary. Book makes for a very great asset to pair blue with. MSS is not quite the same in that regard. So will blue list on a major exchange in the future? Possibly. No plans as at this moment, though. All right, guys. Any other questions? So the bonding market, I'll push. Actually, I want to fix this. This discount here is not accurate, so I'm just going to fix that real quick after the AMA, and then I'll push this update live, and you guys will be able to start getting into the blue book LPs. To prepare yourself in advance, you just need to have, again, you got to have blue and you got to have book in order to be able to do this. So you guys can get those assets ready, and then this will be live pretty shortly. I'd say in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Smaller blue buys on the site, just reminding you. Yeah. Yeah, it's in the plans. It just, I'm a little bit concerned about users getting inefficient swaps. So for now, definitely just go to PancakeSwap to do your swaps. But yeah, it's something that we will add in the future. Once our LPs are more concentrated, like once our V2 LPs are beefier, I'll feel more confident to add that without, risking users getting inefficient swaps. With such a high APY, what's the incentive to open book LPs versus just staking? So if you're, for example, if you're looking to add to your position, right? So if you're a new user that doesn't have blue yet, or you're an existing user that wants more blue, you have two ways to get it, right? You can get it on the open market, or you can get it by bonding. Well, bonding, you get 10% extra. So that's the reason, and you're still earning the same APY. Once you open your bond, those blue tokens are vesting for you as G blue. So you're earning the rebase rewards on all of your bonded blue. So essentially, if you're just looking to add to your position or whatever you're trying to do, if you're just trying to acquire blue, you can get it at a discount here by using the LP. So hope that answers the question. If I do blue book LP on Pancake, does it help? I mean, that's what you need in order to bond, right? So I don't know if I would suggest users to necessarily hold that LP. You're probably better off just taking blue and staking it, but you're going to need that LP to purchase the bond. So, right. So once you have your LP, you can come in here and you can bond that for blue. Something to keep in mind, guys, that this is the max that you can do in a single shot. So you can't get any more than 59 blue in a single bonding transaction, but you can come back in and you can do more of them if you want to. So forgot to mention that earlier. And once I add a second bonding market, we'll put out an announcement just so you guys know that there's a second bonding market there. How long will the minimum be? I don't quite understand your question. And by doing this bonding, it doesn't hurt the book price, meaning if you sell your book for blue, or you can add to the LP without hurting the price. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, essentially to get these bonds, you need blue and book. So, yeah. What's the thought process behind limiting the max bonding size? It's mainly just that, one person doesn't take the entire thing. And again, this is something that I don't set that parameter directly. That parameter is derived from a lot of the other parameters, right? So it's like how much the capacity is, how long the duration of the bond market is. There is one parameter that I can adjust that does impact the max payout. It's like the deposit interval, but yeah, I think I set that to about 2 hours. I think I set 2, so which that basically determines the max payout, because you don't want like one user to come and snatch up all the bonds. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. What happens to your LP after the vesting period ends? So the vesting period has nothing to do with the LP, right? When you do the bonding transaction, just imagine like if the vesting period was instant, right? So if there was no vesting period, what would happen is your LPs go to the treasury and you get blue right away. With a 4-day vesting period, nothing changes in regards to the LP. The LP still went to the treasury. it's not yours anymore, right? You sold the LP to the protocol to get discounted blue, right? So the LP is in the treasury as soon as you do the bond, and it stays in the treasury beyond your vesting period because it has nothing to do with your vesting period, right? The vesting period is strictly how long you have to wait before you can transfer those G blue into your own wallet, right? As you guys can see here. I think he was asking about the 50K APY, how long will it last? Yeah, so I mean, we've said that, you know, it's definitely not going to be touched for the first 3 months, and you know, it probably makes sense to have the community own the protocol, like through decentralized ownership before that changes. So there can be votes by the actual G Blue holders to decide if they want that changed or not. So, I mean, at this point, yeah, it's, you know, it's definitely not going to be touched for 3 months. That's guaranteed, but likely longer. You know, at the end of the day, it's going to be whatever the community wants, right? If the community feels that the APY is too high and they're going to be happier if it gets reduced, then it'll get reduced. If the community likes it high, it'll stay high, right? That's as simple as that. You know, in the future, it's going to be decentralized ownership, so the community will actually directly vote on stuff like this. But for now, while it's in my control, I'll be gauging the community interest. But again, it's not going to be touched for at least 3 months. All right, let's give it another couple seconds, see if any other questions come in. And other than that, I'll tweak that bonding page right after we get off the stream. Got to just fix this discount number to be more accurate, and then I'll push this live for you guys. In the meantime, what do you guys think about bonding? Is it all pretty straightforward? I'd love to get some feedback on how this looks. All right, looks like all the questions have been answered. We had a lot of alpha. The alpha was the bonding. The alpha is our marketing updates. But yeah, bonding being released was the main alpha. It looks cool, buddy. Is the blue smart contract self-destruct? Not sure exactly what you mean by that. I mean, a self-destructing contract is not something that you'd want to use for a token that everybody's holding. Sounds great, Aaron. You're working hard. Yeah, you know it, buddy. I'm excited to see what it does for the whole ecosystem. Can't wait to get started with bonding. Let's go. Smash the like button. Yes, sir. Makes sense in terms of the discount. I think where people are getting held up is in knowing that they sacrificed the LP in exchange for the bond. Discount plus growth during the 4-day vesting period. Yeah. And again, like just to reiterate on that, like, you know, in the past, I always did bonds with shorter vesting periods, right? Like 1 day, 2 days, stuff like that. But like the difference is here that, you know, your blue that is vesting, you're earning the rebase rewards on it. So, I mean, anyone that's doing bonding to stake anyways, it's no different to have a vesting period or to not have a vesting period. So for that purpose, we'd rather give the discounts to the guys that actually plan to stake, that aren't just looking to sell the tokens right away. So for that reason, that's why we have the 4-day vesting period. And again, this is something that I set on every single bond market that I create. So we'll definitely experiment and have different vesting periods. Looks good. Need to use it to understand it. Yep. Just answered that by coincidence in my other explanation. But the question is, will 4-day vesting periods be standard, or will those possibly be shifted in subsequent offerings? Yeah, it's something that I set on every single bonding market. So I think 4 days is probably a pretty good average vesting period, but we might go as long as 7 days potentially. We might go drop it down to 2-3 days. We'll see. But I think 4 to 5 days is a pretty solid vesting period. Good question, though. Bond site looks awesome. Yes, sir. But yeah, I mean, after you guys play around with bonding, if anything is not super clear, definitely let me know, and I'd be happy to make improvements to get it explained better. But yeah, I'm pumped to release this to you guys and see it in action and see these bonds starting to get snatched up. I know a lot of guys have set up their blue book LPs in advance, so those guys will all be ready to go with the bonds, and they'll be able to enjoy that 10% discount right away. Thanks for the improvements to the UI on the dashboard. You bet, man. This is something a lot of people have asked for, and I was happy to deliver. Looks pretty cool on mobile too. You got the always see the blue price, always got a link to buy blue, but you got the breakdown if you want to see it, or you can just see your total value. Let's drop the alpha and the TG. Yeah, that's a good point. That's something actually I want to get better at, is sending out more frequent announcements. And I think that after AMAs, we should always summarize them in announcements. So great call there. We will definitely be doing that. Don't forget to hit the rocket button on blue DeckScreener. Yeah, that definitely helps trending quite a bit. And also just visiting the chart, right? Just check out the blue chart. I know we always teach not to watch the chart too too closely, but visiting the blue chart does help trending. You know, they are tracking traffic to the site for our token. So yeah, definitely hit those rockets at, once a day at least, and visit the chart. It definitely helps with our trending. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it. Don't see any more comments rolling in. So hope you guys are pumped for bonding. I'm super pumped, and can't wait to push this update out and see how much action it gets. These are great improvements. Thank you. We all need to do more as a community too to get blue out there. Yep. Yeah. I mean, the more we can spread the word, the better. Everybody can tell a friend about blue. Still super early, right? We haven't even yet hit a week of rebases. That's coming up in about an hour. We're going to have the, officially have our 1 week duration hit, I guess you could say. One week anniversary.
I can't wait to see all the buy pressure on the chart when the bonding goes live.
Yep. It's going to be exciting.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, it seems like that's it. So if anybody has any questions that you weren't able to get in, definitely feel free to drop them into the Telegram or as a comment on the video, and I'll be happy to answer. Happy 1 week birthday, Blue. Let's go. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you guys in the community, and don't forget, keep spreading the word about blue, and let's get blue to 100, and then let's get blue to 1,000. We can do it.
All right, guys. See you around, and don't forget to subscribe.
Yep. All right. See you guys.